All right, hello everybody. Happy Sunday to you, and it's coffee break. Sorry for the slight delay. I was telling Will about this right before we started. All of my audio drivers started up or updated overnight, so I'm hoping that you all can hear me right now. The monitors are moving. I think you can see this. I think you can hear this. Um, but this is coffee break, everybody. It's a chance every Sunday for me to hang out with my good friends in the RPG scene and just chat, just hang out, caffeinate, chat. Folks are here to hang out as well. I'm here with the amazing Will Jobst. I'm so excited to be sitting here with Will. But Will, why don't you tell people who you are?
Hey Spencer, thanks so much for having me. I'm Will Jobst. I'm a tabletop game designer, publisher, and editor, and recently extra duper full time graphic designer. As you'll see later, I have made games with collaborations with Adam Vass and with Seb Pines under Good Luck Press. Games like This Discord Has Ghosts in It, Black Mass, Campfire, and Torque, which we'll be talking about today. And for coffee break, I do have the limited edition Brain Trust G Fuel lead mug that I'm rocking tonight. So this morning,
Very good mug. Very
I
good.
haven't been rocking in the morning in a long time.
Mm.
So reflexively, I say we're rocking tonight, and tonight is the morning for me.
My morning was spending like an hour shoveling our driveway and sidewalks and all of that. I guess that's what I have to do now. Now that I have a house, I have to actually shovel all this stuff, and that's
Well,
fun.
now you trick kids into doing it for you.
Exactly. I'm like, there's got to be some neighborhood kids around here.
Yeah, just look like you have fallen in your front sidewalk, and
Right.
then wait for some neighbor kids to come on. You got that lifetime discount. You're like, I can't do this. Um, that's what I would do.
I'm gonna use that. We're supposed to get more snow tonight and tomorrow morning, so I'll maybe before school, while all those school kids are scamping around, I'll be like, all right, kids, want a nickel? I don't
Want to
know.
do an experiment? I can do a little experiment here.
That's what
What is your
everybody
time worth to me?
that's what
Yeah,
everybody craves is a new guy moving into the neighborhood and then talking to their kids asking if they want to do an experiment.
some kind of Milgram situation.
Love a Milgram situation.
I actually just listened to a podcast that dove into like Milgram did the like fake shock test experiment, right?
Yeah.
So how cherry picked every anecdote was from that, and how the vast majority of people that participated in this like what is now understood to be a highly unethical run experiment, that Milgram just picked all the data to spell out post like I think contextually, I didn't really understand that they were talking about. Milgram was trying to show, like, okay, the Nuremberg trials
Right.
have a direct correlation to people doing violence against their fellow human beings, and he just like picked whatever data he wanted to make it happen. It's wild.
Yeah. It was the Wild West in early days of psych
Yeah.
science. Uh, as evidenced by Milgram and a million other monsters out there.
Yeah. At least he, you know, didn't do so much physical harm
Yeah.
as
It's all
but
mental harm, baby. You can't
mental
see
harm.
any of it.
Like when people were leaving, he would be like, "Oh, don't worry, this was JK." Basically, it was
Right.
like, "By the way, JK, I'm Milgram. I'll
Here's
see you."
here's the extra added layer for you is many people who talk about Milgram don't actually read Milgram's article, understandably, because academic writing is not fun to read. But Milgram's article has like a million footnotes to it. Guy didn't know how
Oh
to write like just a normal sentence. He had footnotes for days. And if his notes are to be believed, which they shouldn't based off of what Will
no,
just
yeah,
said, he claimed that he interviewed everybody afterwards, checked in on them, and they were all fine. Not only were they all fine, Will, they were all happy to have been part of the experiment.
right. That they thanked him for showing them the darkness, the well of darkness inside of humanity.
So glad to be a part of the scientific process and to have been able to contribute to the field of psychology that way.
Yeah, it was. I was listening to an episode of On the Media, which is like Brooke Gladstone's like media crit and analysis show on NPR, and it's a few weeks back. The show's really good, but yeah, they just covered Milgram that time.
Yep.
Anyway,
Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna be talking about Milgram in like two of my classes next week, so this is a good
oh,
primer. I
great.
I teach research methodologies in social sciences, and so we get to the ethics part, and we go, here's what you're not allowed to do. Here's how psychology has changed. And
Yeah, I like how you can just list off some places just to like associate like Stanford. No.
mm,
That-
you know, Stanford, bad.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Tuskegee,
No,
monstrous.
no.
Right? So anyway, that's my that's a fun start on the old Milgram train.
Anyway, RPGs are mind control.
Right.
Um, yeah.
If Milgram is to be believed, we all obey authority figures, and who is a stronger authority figure than the GM?
Oh yes, Fiat. Known as an Italian car company, GM Fiat has been sweeping the RPG scene. Is Fiat Italian? Gonna have to see. Anyway,
I think it is. I don't
I
think it is.
I'm talking about a car game here
Right.
today, so
Exactly.
I should.
You are talking about a car game today, and we're gonna dive into Torque here shortly. But how have things been otherwise? Because I know you are in like you're in mega Torque mode right now.
Yeah, I'm discovering new gears after 5. And I
Oh.
have been kind of on this journey to see how in the tweens I can get with how hard I the metaphor is losing steam. Yeah, I it is technically at the printer, but I am just was making some final corrections. Literally in this PDF, I have highlighted something that I would like to change. So yeah, it should be going to the printer next week to be printed in February. And then we are all systems go, very green, hitting that NOS button under the seat, the whole thing. And I'm super excited. I mean, I've got this don't tell anyone, but this was for a zine quest that I printed as a perfect bound book with like a giant
Uh,
playmat, and uh it's very long, and it is full color and has tons of art and photography. And yeah, so I'm excited to take a break when I'm there, kind of finishing this and then getting ramped up for the next thing. So
it
this is a cool place to be.
it was supposed to, like it was like 36 pages or something like that. Was that your original pitch,
Hey,
or I can't remember.
you
I'm
know
not
what?
here to. I'm not shaming you. I'm just trying to
No, it
remember.
happened. I mean, it's a good lesson, right? That like, I have written tons of games that are 2 spec, and games that have been larger and smaller. And
Mm,
I have worked long enough in publishing that I know when I am sacrificing something to hit a page count, when I have enough funds through the campaign to make that just a triviality
mm.
among the other constraints of making a book and a game. So I think you've been here where you begin outlining mechanics and then developing a game, and it's a dialogue between you and your work.
Mm.
So sometimes your work has some stuff to say about what the length is and what the format is and what it needs. And so there's this point where I wrote the game. Torque, by the way, is a post-apocalyptic car PG that is half board game played on a 3x3 tactical grid, and half freeform role-playing game played with character-driven scenes at rest stops. And Torque blends these two with the kind of ebb and flow, the harsh world of the post-apocalyptic Torque is unlike other post-apocalyptic games like your Mad Maxes and Fallouts. It's a more weird world where the nature of our demise is not like this repeated
Mm.
cross that everybody's bearing, but it's a story about communities banding together and making bargains with the places they live. So with all of that, that could be a 20-page game. It could be a 2-page game. For me, to make it the kind of 360 book experience, that's a donut in car terminology. This is the format you take, and when we look at it, you'll see that like it contains some fun stuff. It has writing in it. It has
Whoa.
writing. Yeah, and there's a lot of elements about Torque that were generative, so I was able to take stuff out of my hands to see where my design would have taken me.
Mm,
So this is something that Anavas taught me when we were making Campfire, which is a role-playing game where you tell scary stories in the dark with friends. Comes in a box. You can get it. WorldChampGame.co. Uh, I have everything in arm's reach for.
that's a good call. I had Necronautilus right there for because you and I were on the stream the other day. My campfire's downstairs. I keep it because it's a box. I keep it with my other box games.
Oh, I mean, like, the personal archive you have to have
Oh yeah.
kind of, yeah, on the tool belt. Well, anyway, for that game, we did a lot of, generation, through using spreadsheets to determine, like, what is literally everything you can do in this game. Like, what are the X's and Y's of the algebraic equation of this game? So, like, that could be putting a coin down somewhere, that could be taking a card, and then just randomly generating every possible or procedurally generating every possible option. And so I did that with Torque, and Torque's tactical section. I just interesting thing in writing that your first draft is telling a story to yourself, and the second draft, the rewrite, is telling that story to everybody else. And so it's finding about like what's the tactical elements to keep and what's the how like lean and mean and weird can the freeform role play get. So as you'll see,
Mm.
it's pretty easy and conceptually simple to play, but it just needed the room to stretch out and be itself.
Yeah. That's really fascinating. That idea of first draft, second draft, like who you're talking to, who the kind of the what the dialogue is between you, the work, and everyone else. Here's my question, because you've already dropped quite a few of them. How much did you know about cars before you got into Torque? Because you've dropped a phenomenal number of car jokes, puns, analogies, metaphors, idioms so far. Did you do a lot of car research for this, or did you just like you just know? Are you a car person?
I'm a little bit of a gearhead now. I like cars. I like car media.
Mm,
So things like Mad Max or Redline are really um like incredibly important to my work, and getting close to like what I felt the dramatic and like literary impact of cars, right?
mm.
By that I mean a car named Christine who fucking sucks. But yeah, not huge, but I got to learn a bunch, and more importantly, learn like if you're not a car head, you can still have fun because cars are just big toys, right? That like, especially when it comes to like customizing them and just thinking about cars, the people that have this expert knowledge about cars and vehicles in general are going to bring that, whether I say
Mm,
Fiat car, whether I say Ford Fiesta or not, people are going to bring, whatever they want.
right.
And it was really interesting because I had lots of people reach out and be like, "Oh, your design, your visual design is reminding me a lot of X or Y or whatever." So, uh, that comes from using lots of specimens and inspiration from car manuals and car advertisements from the 60s and onwards, basically. And pulling a lot from this like golden age of 60s, 70s car magazine design and visual design, which you can see all over the book. It's got future everywhere. Yeah. So it's interesting because you can ask a lot of players to know about stuff. I think a good example of this is when a role playing game has a suspiciously detailed gun chart. Like when you have more than two types of shotguns, you're just like, okay, what am I supposed to be? No, what do I not know that this person does? And so, you have as far as like TSR's Boot Hill, the
Mm,
back of that book is just filled with historical cowboys that Gygax statted up. He's like, "Here's what I think Calamity Jane's hit points smelled like."
Oh, thank God. Thank God we have that.
So, there's two ways to do it. I mean, there's more than two, but to answer your question in a fucking monologue.
Love them. We love a monologue here, Will. We love a monologue. Um, I'm so excited about Torque because I am not a gearhead, so to speak. I have a car and I know how to drive it, and that's about as far as it's gonna get for me. Um, but I think even still, that doesn't diminish like the excitement and coolness that I see in Torque by any means.
Yeah, it's like the when Forza Horizon 5 came out and it was the most popular game on Xbox period when it
Right.
came out. For a number of reasons, but just because like it does feel pretty good to go fast.
It's
Torque does a couple novel things, I think, for in both video games and RPGs and board games, where in board games, car games are typically a giant track that people drive around. So the focus of play is moving around this entire track.
mm,
And with Torque, it's understood that the focus of play is where the players are. And so you can just modularly be in any environment on this 3x3 grid, understanding that this is a reckoning of a pack of cars together. And so, oh my God, can I please? Anyway, yeah. So it's got a lot of movement and kineticism that I didn't find in F1 board games and in role playing games in general.
mm.
I played Car Wars. I've got, I understand. One time I played Car Wars with some friends in Boston, and it was so horrible to play. Have you played it?
I have not played it.
So it's a Steve Jackson Games war game,
Okay.
kind of a blended war game RPG thing, mostly RPG, car RPG, or mostly war game, where you have this big battle mat and you have your little car and you play turns, and turns are each like a fifth of a second long.
Okay.
It's which is a which is horrible.
Yeah. Love the granularity.
And so you would have to figure out your turning speed and where other people are going and how to even use a machine gun and whatever. I didn't have the entire set that you needed, which included a special, some war games have a special measuring piece,
Mm-hmm.
like an interesting protractor or compass.
Right.
And I just while I was reading the rules to the group, I had to make a custom protractor like that we would play with. And it was so fucked up. It took us like an hour and a half to get it on the table. And then me and Simon Moody, we spent our turns trying to crash at each other at full speed so we could stop playing. That's like the only action of the game. Just immediately head on head collision.
Nailed
Played
it.
with the photographer for Torque, Ben Garbo, who won because
Mm.
he excluded himself from
Didn't want to play
this kind of
the crash
this
game.
kind of ritual suicide playing Car Wars.
There's a really great question from Aaron King here in chat, which is, can I use my own car in Torque? My real car.
Yeah, absolutely you can. There are plenty of tools for you to help reflect your own vehicle in Torque. In Torque, there's no numbers. It's like a symbolic system. So your your own health, and your car's health are represented in the same expression. You have how many times you can crash your vehicle and how many health that you have within that. And so you nest your health inside of each crash. So if you have a particularly um, hunker of a vehicle, you would have tons of crashes and health nested in those crashes. And if you had something slippy and fast and strange, you would have very few crashes, maybe one, and a couple health. And so basically, the more crashes and health that you have, the slower your vehicle is. That's your 0 to 60. and the less of those two numbers you have, the faster you are. So you move first and all that stuff. So that's basically the mechanical foundation for how you express that. And everything else is just juice. It's just pure juice all over the vehicle.
Awesome. I mean, I'm so excited about this. You have sent me the PDF, or the most recent PDF that you have exported. Uh,
In my trials and
right, in your
tribulations.
trials and
Yeah.
tribulations to make this happen. I'm excited to. We're gonna like God's willing, I'm gonna get this to transition properly so that you can see the PDF on the screen, and we will be some disembodied voices as Will kind of talks us through this gorgeous looking PDF because I have had a chance to flip through it a little bit. So I could use my 2012 Camaro whose mirrors don't adjust anymore. That's a good question.
Those mirrors could be part of what makes it so interesting. Why is your mirror cocked in the 45-degree? Like, what are you looking for? That's
Love it. Uh,
yeah. Drivers in Torque are people whose special abilities or jobs even make them a important piece of the communities that they go visit. So the meta story of Torque is that you are people who ply special trades that go point to point, community to community, making the world better in their own specific way. So that's
I
that's more
love
on
it.
you than your car. Gonna say it.
That's awesome. All right. Well, Will, do you want to look at this PDF with me?
Hell
I
yeah.
mean,
I
again,
love this freaking doc. This is my favorite doc right now.
God's willing this works. Gonna hide this, gonna hide this. Okay, okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Hold on. Hold on to your pants, people. I didn't quite nail this, as you can imagine.
I'm
I'm in
gonna
the
make sure I have the
process.
stream open so I can follow along.
Oh, Will, I'm doing my best.
You're good. I can just extemporaneously talk about Torque.
Excellent. Oh, I guess I should just make this bigger and fill the screen instead of just like the top third of the screen. But you know, that's me. That's my design choice.
That's my steez.
Oh, Will, what have I done here? I've made this all weird. Hold on,
Oh.
everybody. We'll be right back as I figure this out.
We got Child Vomit in chat. That's my little brother Grayson. Hey, buddy.
Oh, hey,
Was
Grayson.
somebody like Mad Mike an influence on the game? Mad Mike from Pimp My Ride? Is that is that Mad Mike? Um, Pimp My Ride is really interesting. Are we on or is
We
it?
are, ooh, yeah, people can still hear us.
Okay, great. Yeah, Mad Mike is really interesting, and the Pimp My Ride crew in general because they make your ride incredible. And by that I mean covered with little TV screens and coffee makers and stuff. And then months after, they will come back for the car. So it's a little bit of a Green Knight situation, right? That you are given 1 year to live, and then Mad Mike's back. You got to go to Mad Mike. It's a whole thing.
Wait, they come back for the car?
They come back for the car, and they will either take the parts back out. Pimp My Ride was not a very financially successful endeavor.
This is wild. I did not know that this was true.
Or either like the car was in such bad condition because they put like a PS1 where the gallbladder is in the car and things like that.
All right. I think I've got this largely figured out, Will. Let's try this out. I had no idea that they came back for the car. That is wild to me.
Yeah, it makes me think I'm like on Extreme Home Makeover, when does Ty Burrell return, right?
Mm-hmm.
When is he quote unquote moving that van again?
That is that is wild. That's the untold story of Pimp My Ride that the world needs to know.
Yeah, Child Vomit says it either catches fire or they repo it. That's exactly right. And it's not Exhibit going for the repo. He's stuff to do. Exhibit's in the studio that day. Mad Mike. Wow. There was a Pimp My Ride PS2 game that was really fun.
It's awesome.
It's not awesome, but
Oh,
thank
never
you.
mind. I guess it's not awesome now that I think about it. I guess that sucks. Uh,
But yeah, here we are.
here we are, Will. I've got it, I think, mostly squared away here on the screen, for folks to be able to see. I think we can see most of the spread. I'm limited in what I can show, but I think this is a pretty good start. Except it's not the
I
start of the
love it.
actual book. I love that you call it the operator manual. It's so good.
Thanks. Thanks. That's both like me saying, this is a distressed piece of shit in your glove compartment, but also that it opens the door for if this is great and people love it, then I can make more stuff after the colon and then collect it all later when it's, you know,
Love that. So you
when it's funding time.
did you end up doing all of the layout for this as well?
I did all of the layout. I worked with a photographer, Ben Garbo, who did all the photography, which I was able to like plunder so well, and Gabriel Reese, who is a comics illustrator in Brazil, who's awesome. He did the illustrations in the book.
It's, I mean, like I said, I flipped through it a little bit before this. It is gorgeous. This is such a fantastic looking book. I cannot wait to get it, hold it in
Oh,
my
thank you so
hands.
much. It's really fun. The colors, Seb Pines helped me out with the like color grading of it in general and figuring out the palette, which is taken from a Steve McQueen movie poster from the 70s, 24 Hours of Le Mans, which is a beautiful movie, a wild movie. And it just basically makes this book feel so of its time without being a thing from the 60s. Like,
Right.
it's great.
I love it. I mean, so we can flip through this at, and stop at places that you want to stop at, but like I mean, how do you want to go through this sucker?
Do the viewers have any cues? I mean, that might be good. Or is there anything that you're particularly interested in that we could talk about? Because I mean,
Well, I'm curious because you mentioned it. You mentioned it before that the game is sort of split between this like tactical, uh, it's like the tactical grid thing, but then also the very free form role playing. So I'm curious to know like where that starts to manifest in the book. But also, Aaron wants to see some photography.
oh, cool. So the photography is everywhere. You can't get a few pages without finding a cool spot. So we will hit that. Um, right. So the game begins with setting up the rules of the road, which is like your rules of engagement for the characters and the drivers. So it's a cool in-universe accord that you make with your fellow players, to talk about
Hmm.
what your how you treat each other and how other people treat you. You're basically opting into different types of gameplay. And this is across both modes of play, both the road and the rest stop. So I've set out a couple options for what you can pick. Convoy is like, we're all friends running down the road helping people. Very little PvP. Um, each one of these has three that are required. These are the safety tools of the game,
Hmm.
which include using the X card. Um, we also have how you're safe at the rest stop and how you can leave at any time. So that's an open door policy that is like content setting for the freeform, and that is a safety tool straight at the X card. And the others are how people treat you, including each one of these has what is the relationship between this game and guns. So
Oh.
as default, there are no guns in Torque. There's something. It's my game. Don't gotta put guns in it. And so each one of them kind of outlines. The first one is like there are no guns at all.
Hmm.
And I talk in the intro that this is not a game of like a rehash of feudalism that post-apocalyptic fiction can get into. It's kind of this soft apocalypse, more human centered, or rather like not that it's human centered because it's in a post Anthropocene setting, but it's less like here's how fucked up people can get. It's not a Milgram experiment, I guess is
It's
what I'm saying.
it's definitely, I'm not getting Milgram vibes from it.
Yeah. So you've got Fast and Furious, which is based on a little known series of movies that came out in the aughts. And there's Death Race, which is based on Death Race 2000. Death Race is highest PvP, highest amount of antagonism everywhere you go. The way that PvP works in this game is that different players will have different milestones that they want to hit on the road.
Mm,
Milestones are described later in the book, and it basically gives you secondary objectives in addition to surviving and getting to places that you want. So in Death Race 2000, Sylvester Stallone is trying to hit elderly people on the road for points in the game. The
uh-huh.
movie's great, by the way. It's really good. um and it's more like, here is the max PvP,
Right.
things like that. It says the rules of engagement are that, like, where we ride together, but we don't ride together. You know what I mean?
Hmm. This is awesome. I love this idea of coming together and deciding like what, because that's oftentimes like my conversation of session zero is like what kind of tones and things are we looking for, but having it codified like this or kind of laid out like this is really, really nice. This is great.
Yeah, and the things include like player v player,
Mm,
community sanctuary, and then content, and then of course after that is setting lines and fails and stuff like that. So I like diegetic safety tools, and then safety tools that sit above a game, so that you don't have to be embodying a character to utilize a safety tool, but there are options too if you would like.
right. Hey, there's your
We,
word, eschaton.
yeah, we found some writing in the book. Torque has interludes everywhere between major sections, whether it's writing to get you in the vibe of the world that Torque is in, or whether it's random tables or optional missions or things like that. Just enjoying photography or landscapes.
Mm,
So Torque is very much designed as a book rather than like a game book. So you can absolutely narratively go through Torque and set up and play a game. The first half of the book is all of that, and the second half of the book is all the tools you can use to customize your game of Torque.
that's awesome. Here's some really nice looking art. Love the art.
Yeah, Gabriel Reese rocks. There are two ways to make characters. You have hard charging, which is the arcade mode, where you roll up random characters and get on the road for a good time, but not a long time. And then you have the scenic route, which is more careful, considered character embodiment. I
Mm,
have a series of iconic characters that you can choose from and embody. There's less like choice and expression in the like exact mechanics of the character, but your expression of that character's life is absolutely your own. So
uh,
you can see. Oh, go ahead.
is this some of the photography that you had
Yes.
mentioned? Oh my God, it's so slick. I love this. And this is, oh, I think I remember you doing this with Adam on the Brain Trust like months ago, doing
Yeah.
like just rolling up on these tables to see what kind of wacky ass car would be made from it.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to roll one?
Yeah, I would love to roll one. Uh,
I got the PDF in front of me.
okay, good. All right. So,
So first, we're gonna figure out. Let's work. Yeah. So roll two six-sided dice for what's on your dash.
okay. I've got a 6 and a 6.
Wow, you have an incomplete card deck on the dash of your car. How about 2d6 for what's on the back?
All right. 8. Well, this feels weird. 6 and 6.
Whoa. You have your trunk is filled with movie memorabilia.
Oh, nice.
Are you I'm getting a picture of this character that's interesting. And now two six-sided dice for what's on under the hood.
A 4, then 1.
You have a wheel of eyes powering your car.
Oh my God.
Hmm. You're a magician. And two six-sided dice for the look of the chassis. So what your car's body is.
A 2 and a 5.
It's flashy.
Hmm.
Obviously, we knew that.
Yeah, that was
That's
almost a
pretty.
given.
That's pretty clear. And through the book, you can go through and like there's not just like a here's all the random tables section.
Mm,
It's spiced through the book, so to provide that inspiration and also kind of from a designer perspective, it lets the reader ground sections of the book like, oh, that's before, as you can see on PDF page 15 is a giant spread of just different paint jobs you can have on your
mm,
car. Um, and it's not kind of sequestered because there are large, beautiful pieces, but not, you know, all its own zone, all
right.
its like high color printing zone. So the heavy pages are spread between.
God.
On the next page, you'll see the character sheet, which is a good way to kind of show the difference between the road and the rest stop. Um, Torque's character sheet is what I refer to as a heads down display. Um, the action of the road. Imagine, walk with me on this metaphor that you're a driver looking at the playmat of Torque and deciding what to do. And when you need to reference something like a driver, you would look down at your dashboard and see
Mm.
how fast am I going? Where the fuck is my nos at or whatever. So you can see that the rest stop or the character sheet is a steering wheel, a stylized steering wheel with different elements all around, divided into what your character is made of, what your road actions are, and what your rest stop actions are.
Aaron wants me to honk the horn.
Oh, you gotta honk the
I'm
horn.
so glad the
Yeah.
honk is included on this. Most crucial button on the whole thing to
The
press.
first time that we play tested with the honk, like Seb was describing something, and I just started honking. Just in the middle. Beep. And you can honk basically any song, any sound. It doesn't have to always be just a beep beep or
Oh yeah, I mean, I
whatever.
assume in the post-apocalyptic future, we've really, really expanded our honk technology.
When I honk, the dip comes on.
Wow, these pages are just gorgeous, Will. Like, this is truly spectacular.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Which do you want to talk about? Go into like, you wanted to see the kind of delineation between the road and the rest stop.
That's something that I'm curious about personally.
Yeah. Let's go to.
Oh, this is what you were
We
talking
can.
about of the different paint jobs or different stylings of your
Yes.
car.
Yeah. So
Wow.
we could give me another two
Yeah.
d6 roll, and we can see what your magician car is painted.
It's a 6, then a 5.
You have an ice cream paint job, which is a particular type of paint job where you have like this kind of UV fluorescent detailing on your car, so it looks sweet like ice cream.
Wow. Love it. I love my fancy eyeball driven ice cream paint job car.
Yeah, so each in Torque, so on this page after the or before the livery, you would determine if you were randomly rolling what your moves would be. And
Mm,
so each character in Torque has 3 stunts, 3 basic moves, and 1 move action. The stunts are things that only you can do. It's really particular to you, so they are left narratively unexplained, so you can apply your situation or your characterization to that move. So it's kind of generified, so you're able to bring all the narrative that you want to something instead of making. I think we've all been in a situation where we need to make burning hands make sense in this room.
mm,
So it just gives you the mechanical thing that you then apply to. We've also got these 3 basic attacks that are not as good as the stunts, but are more widely useful or rather available to you,
gotcha.
which you can do health damage or crash damage, stuff like that. But right, I think the best way to see the kind of delineation between the road and the rest stop is through the Scenic Route characters, which are characters that you would just select from here. They're iconic characters, so only one of each can exist in general. And each one is yours, and nobody will be like you. It's one of those.
Oh, these are so cool. So these are like pre-gens essentially. So you would choose one of these to embody if you wanted to play
Yeah,
the scenic route.
Yeah, they're kind of like, I think it's better to think of them like iconics.
Mm.
So in Torque, these are not only are these just people, but they are the type of people that would exist in this world in each. It also shows you how to develop, like if you wanted to make your own class or stuff like that. So yeah, let's look at, is there's one that's interesting to you and looks
Uh,
good?
well, I just certainly want to know more about the modem just based off of the name.
Yeah.
So tell me a little about this modem.
All right, so the modem is a character who would bring internet and social media to each community that they go to.
Oh my God, I love it.
So it's connecting. It's basically a roving router, and you go and you help in whatever way you can to get people connected, whether it's within their own community or with people outside the community, whatever. So you can see you've got the title, you've got a description of kind of what your vibe is, and then you have it divided into road and rest stop areas. So each of these scenic route characters, scenic route because you're taking more time and it's meant for this more campaign play. Although you can do campaign play with hard charging, this just gives you more hooks for the role playing section.
Mm.
You got a starting package, which is the special thing you can do that no one else can. For the modem, that's group chat. At the end of every round, you can give a driver one health. So this is both mechanically important so people can stay healthy on the road, but it also implies that you have a way of communicating privately that is interesting. I think having a group chat is a little bit more narratively powerful than having a like radio frequency. You have to literally type out your LOLs and shit. Um, yeah, next up is the stock moves, which are your more your less fiddly, more straight up useful. I say useful and complicated to kind of describe these. It's more like specific in general. Stock moves, you get jailbreak and incognito. These both had different abilities on the road that you can switch between and use. And custom is you can only pick one of these, and it kind of flavors your character within the party composition on the road.
Mm.
Here you've got timeout, hotspot, and buffering. All of these have different like positional effects and things like that. You can see that they use special tags to describe what they do in simple language. I know you like making games like that, and I definitely channeled a lot of Spencer here.
Sucker for tags. I love a quick tag like that. I'm I just love I'm obsessed with the concept of the person who is responsible for bringing the internet around to the communities is such a great character idea. Uh,
Yeah, how about we zoom in on the rest stop side and we can see particularly what that means within the role playing
let
perspective.
me let me
I
see
know
if I
that
can pull that off.
Dan wants to zoom in.
Dan wants so much from me. Well, it's rough shot, but that should you should be able to see it. I think.
Dan screaming, thank you. Um, right. So on the rest stop side, there are four things. You've got your activity, your checklist scenes, your rewards, and your sunset. During the rest stop, you dump out. Each player rolls dice on an area and creates a situation rest stop. Each die representing a point of interest, a person, a place, a situation, a scene to that needs the drivers in some way to contribute to. So you're creating basically a mini map filled with stuff that you then go and embody. This is a GM-less game, so players work together to create situations and scenes and to express their characters in different ways. But each driver has things they got to do at every rest stop. So you've got an activity which you describe yourself. What's something you do to help everywhere you go? For the modem, that could be in particular, maybe you um, have streaming access. So you
Mm.
just show a new episode of a show that came out or something. Or you have this ability to host a play by post MMO that you go to each section and game master part of the game, something like that. My part of a narrative designer at this game is to provide checklist scenes for each. class that determine like here are some scenes that I want you to contrive and create in your play of Torque. So for the modem, it's called Reformat, and the first one is collect, digitize, and memorialize a late artist's work. So not only does that create a character of a artist that passed away that was beloved by a community, it shows how you can help in this community's remembrance process and memorialize this person. And so that's a whole rest stop phase for you.
That's
That could
so
be like
cool.
that could be in a minute or hours of play or whatever. Uh, we could look at the next one. Let's go to trace the signal of an anonymous online bully. Um, this is who knows what you would do here. Is this going to be someone that you take under your wing? Do you take this person around uh fucking Ebenezer Scrooge style and show the effects of their bullying? Like, whatever it is that you it creates a situation in progress that drivers come to, and because it's freeform role playing, and the way that the rest stop works is, like I said, you are getting these points of interest that are unflavored, and then you bring that, that a scene's happening here, big scene's happening here, scene's happening here,
Mm.
and you can apply that. And so imagine you're playing with three drivers, you've got three players, everyone has something that they're doing, so you have this like lattice work of in character role playing and scenes that in one character, say we're playing together, you're the bully, I'm the driver, or we go and you're doing a different thing for the um archive, who's like a frontier librarian bringing books and media and whatever to everywhere that they go. It's like a bookmobile.
Mm.
And their thing would be to work with local children to make a picture book. And so, you're memorializing part of the history of this place and creating an object. And you can just imagine the kind of layered and interplay filled role playing that would make all of this happen. So, what
Can
do you
we
get?
play
What's the
this
fun stuff?
now? I want to play
It
this
sounds
right
fun,
now. It
right?
sounds really fun.
uh so right, you have rewards. So for every two checklist scenes that you do, you get a reward, and each driver has two flavors of reward: a reward that involves the whole community, and a reward that involves only the other drivers. So it's strengthening your relationship to a place and strengthening your relationship to people around you. So the first one for the modem is host an online gaming festival for the community, bolstering their spirits. So are you playing? Is it a Smash tournament right now? Like, are you playing Marvel versus? Is this a LAN party? Like, are we all playing Animal Crossing together and going to different? Anyway, so that then makes you a valued, positive part of a community. The other is for the drivers only, which is to bring together the drivers and set up dating/friendship profiles for everyone, which is like a soft, like weird, interesting scene that like normally hardened Mad Maxes would never experience. Like, imagine, like, it takes Max so fucking long to say his name to Furiosa. Like, it takes an hour in the movie. But imagine if, like, he was a human being. So, the last part of the rest stop function of each driver is the sunset. The sunset is acknowledging that this is a temporary thing that you do. You cannot do this for the rest of your life. So a sunset is what is the end of your career like. And so for the modem, it's when you've completed all of them, meaning the checklist scenes and the rewards, find somewhere cozy and start that podcast you've been thinking about.
That
And so
is delightful.
every character has its start mechanically and its end narratively. And so that you will stop. And so that creates somewhere to shoot your character. You're not going to, you know,
Hmm.
crash and burn. You're going to find a way to get to the rest stop, whatever it takes.
So, I had two questions, and one, the first one has escaped me. Oh, I remember. I'm reading like the wording of this, and this is something I'm curious about, which is like it keeps referring to like the community, like bringing return memories of a hard drive to the community or online gaming festival at the community. Is it? that you all kind of keep returning to the same place, the same community that you've built, or are you like hopping from one community to the next, and so it's just like whatever community you roll into next?
That's a great question. The answer is both. If you are running missions out of a single community, that can absolutely all happen. But it's understood that Torque is like a point to point
Mm,
travelogue story, and it's about the journey. But there are rules to, like, create a map. The whole thing about Torque is that the world is really weird and it is difficult to figure out where anything is. Meaning that, like, even sleeping on the road creates like uh psychedelic
mm,
changes in the structure and the maps and everything. And these communities are like shining lights against that weirdness, just keeping it away.
gotcha.
But rather than keeping away, it's creating a boundary and a bargain with it. So we can hop into the tools section if you want to see like what rest stops are made of. The
Yeah.
rest stop section begins on PDF page 33, which is page 85 or 58 in the book. A book with where I can either be on page 85 or 58 is wild.
Wait, what page am I going to?
58.
58.
PDF page 33.
Gotcha. I just scrolling through it instead of typing just so that folks can see like glimpses of things along the way because it is,
Yeah.
my God, so gorgeous. All right, I've reached I've reached 58 here. Uh, yeah, the rest stop.
Great. As you can see on this, just scrolling through this section, how the rest stop is constructed. In the rest stop, you roll up, park, rest, refuel, and roll out. And that the kind of game unit of Torque is having some tactical action on the road and then having some chill out role playing elements on the rest stop.
Mm,
And so with this community section, I just wanted to show you this bit to show like here's like literally what we're doing at the table
yeah.
as opposed to in character. We're making stacks of dice and then reading the dice, and when all the dice are gone, you decide each scene that you do removes one dice from play, right? And you can either decide once all the dice are gone, hey, are we going to get back on the road and follow one of these strands somewhere
Mm,
to create a mission based on this, or to continue our episode that we're on, or do we want to roll all the dice again and then continue the story that we started at the road
right.
or at the rest stop?
Damn.
So, yeah, in this next section in tools, there is tools to make everything work in this game. From what the enemies on the road are made of, what the obstacles, and um, how the environments work. Torque, as I mentioned, is a 3x3 grid. uh, the grid flows every round, so you're rushing by physical obstacles within your play space um, that represent different pieces of the environment that you're in. When you are playing the tactical version of the road, one player is responsible for the enemies, one's responsible for the obstacles, and another is responsible for the events. Events are like unique stories and moments that happen on the play, that happen during play,
Mm,
um, that continue strands that you pick up and rest stops on the road. So, say that bully who had been online, actually, that was a bunker with someone trying to call for help spoofing this bully's IP address or something like that.
mm.
And you then find that on the road in between the combat sections and then solve that, come back to the rest stop or resolve it there, and they get some kind of reward or something.
That's awesome. Floating chair is
But
here, which is great to see, and mentions that the layout
hey,
is really supreme. Loving this art, loving this layout. And Dan Phipps saying Cormac McCarthy's The Road, colon tactics.
I feel like Cormac would not like this game.
You feel like that? Wouldn't vibe with this
It's
one?
it's not like moody.
Mm.
It's moody, but it's not like. And then the boys suffered.
And then the boy suffered. So yeah, this talks about all the environment stuff, the events, the loot. Oh my God, these pages are just amazing. So is all this photography? So this is the photography that you got, that you had commissioned for this book, then?
The photography that Ben did is all the vehicles, and then
Mm,
I used my wiles to find the other ones, Unsplash or Pixabay or
right,
things like that. Some of the more intense photography that you can see in the loot section is from their like archival quality Smithsonian photography of just engines and little pieces of shit from airplanes and things like that.
right.
In this loot section, there is a little secret thing that you can roll on this and get a all of these things break the game in some interesting way. So, Torque is like an exceptions based game where you create things that shouldn't, by the rules of the game, go, right?
Mm,
And so, if you want a particularly fucked up, strange character, you can just roll on this loot table and then build a character and a driver based on these things. So, say you get, I don't know, roll me 2d6 again.
I can surely do that for you. We got a 1 and a 6.
That would be predictive instruments. Um, So in this game, you can place mines that function as obstacles that you can detonate. Mines
Mm.
flow along with the flow of the road, so every turn they'll go back one tile until they're off the board. And a character, so you're a magician. You've got this magician car
We've
with a deck of
established that.
cards, movie memorabilia. You've got a hot paint job, and you've got the ability to see the future in some way on your vehicle. Maybe that's like you throw you David Blaine style throw fucking cards at your windshield and one sticks and you know what's gonna happen there.
Hmm.
Um
Oh my God, this
and
character
then
is
you
really coming to life here. I love this.
and then you then will use this ability, which does all that stuff. In the next section is all the rest stop tools to use, including the
Mm,
vibe palette, which is how you create a rest stop at play. The latter half of Torque is all like diving deeper into mechanics, showing you things that you can use to support your game, to show you the kind of design method that I took. And so each rest stop is made with the vibe palette, and the vibe palette you figure out. Um, Rest stops are generated with two sections. You've got what you notice first and what you notice last. So it's your perception as the
mm,
driver, and shows you what is most obvious about this community and what is shocking or surprising. And then the next page, you have what the community's bargain between its world and the people who live there. So you figure out the particular strangeness of the world, whether it's with the land or with time or something even stranger. Um, we Aaron King's in the chat. We got an Aaron King reference on the bargain between the world and its people, and so it shows you the particular relationships and community elements that people just make, whether it's a bargain between, let's say, flora that is propagating and people's psyche, which is
mm.
something. So let's go ahead and roll 2d6 to figure out what you notice first and what you notice last.
4 and 4.
So the first thing you notice is the way the sky bows around the community.
Mm.
That's cool. And what do you see last?
That would be a 4 and a 1.
The condition of the road. And so as a group, you'd figure out you're literally driving to this place. You see the sky just, warping around. And what's the deal with the road? Maybe it's specially made so that this like geomorphic warping of everything, it can withstand that, or it's completely eviscerated.
Right.
Like the road is so fucked. Um which can speak to a larger issue with the community and stuff like that. And then let's do it again for what the bargain between the world is.
3 and 5.
Okay, 3 is my favorite. So chiral, the relationship to time, and 5 is the blind side of a two-way mirror.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
that's interesting.
Ooh.
So let's just hold that in our head and figure out what the bargain is between. So give me 2d6 one last time for the people.
6 and 3.
That would be death. So that's really cool. So I see, like, you know, those who have passed on or are going to pass on kind of stand in this super liminal space behind a two-way mirror watching everything that we do. And how would you live your life knowing that our ancestors are a going concern and they might be making fun of us behind the
Right.
mirror, or they continue loving us in this position, or the relationships that we have don't stop when somebody dies, they just change in some way.
Dang.
And that's one that's more like introspective and quiet, as you could have an orange textured sky and art. Like, that is a different community situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and yeah, that classic Aaron King patchwork option for the modal world
Hmm.
is the best.
Love that.
Yeah. So as you can see, the vibe palette creates, like, the vibes are undeniable.
There
Can
are
we
there
start
are
saying
there
that?
I think that's fair to say. This is vibes up and down. Oh my goodness. I'm in love with page 90 here. I can't take my eyes off of it. I just love everything about it. Just
Oh,
love the way that it
thanks.
looks. My
This
goodness.
is a The vibe palette is so much fun, and I really learned a lot about the way I think with D66 tables.
Mm,
Everything in this book is a D66 table, meaning you roll two six-sided dice. For me, roll two six-sided dice. One is like what category you pick from, and the other is the element in the category. And my challenge to myself as a graphic designer, um, I am new to graphic design, and everything I've done in Torque is the product of absolutely fucking muscling it, and just it's the hardship and the agony and the ecstasy. So I'm at a point where I'm really proud of it, and my goal was to have excuse me, every single D66 table look different in some way and
yeah.
have a different feeling.
Well, you absolutely nailed that. I mean, these are just such
Thanks.
wonderful like tools and techniques throughout this whole thing. And we have of course hit I think probably the near here the end, which I love, the speed running torque section, which I know
The
you
speed
added.
run. I love speed runs. It's great. So Torque, as you can see, is two games smashed into one,
Hmm.
and both those sections can have a distinct end and like a start and end to each of them. So you know when you've begun and you know when you've ended, unlike maybe a scene in a traditional game that kind of stretches as long as the players are interested in being there.
Right.
So a game of Torque includes going to having some tactical action on the road and having some role playing at the rest stop. And each one of these categories is a different way to kind of affect your play. And I once heard Tim Rogers, who's a critic and writer about video games, say that to speed run a game is to love a game so much you learn everything about it.
Mm.
Whether that's like how fucking broken is this, or what doesn't work and what can I exploit, or whatever it is. So I have incentivized people to love my game in this way, uh, by offering a prize and a leaderboard. So for the people that pick up Torque and uh, get a record in each of these, I'm going to be setting records, so it's not going to be easy. You're gonna have to beat me.
Oh my
Um,
God.
but when you get a record, you get a new class that I've created just for you, and you get a new hard charging table for all these speed freaks, and a secret rest stop that ostensibly you and the other, people that have broken the sound barrier can go to, and hang out narratively. When each record is broken 3 times, everyone gets it for free. So everyone can have this thing if you are bad enough to speedrun the game. If are you tough enough?
Will, this is the coolest thing in the world. I love the idea of doing like a two-way street here between like the designer and the players in building something together here. And so like gathering information and like in this case like you said to certify a run, record or stream the session and send it to you is just so
Yeah.
cool so that you all like the Torque community is seeing these people and building this out together. So
Yeah.
awesome.
And it's just how speedruns work,
Hmm.
thankfully, that it needs to be streamed. I can't just believe you.
Right.
You beat this in 20 minutes? Come on. You gotta prove it. But yeah, I'm inspired by speedrunning in general. Epediah Ravishal did morning speedruns of Swords Without Master, which were really great. I think he was able to get those down to a minute of play, which is fascinating. Um, yeah, it's really fun. I'd like to see more speed categories for games,
Yeah.
and
Well, now I'm
yeah,
thinking about
so
like how to add like because I had thought about a while ago adding like achievements or trophies to games and like this is a very specific kind of direction with it with the speed running and this is I love it. So and it just feels so on point for Torque.
yeah, I think the speed run and achievement like framework would work really well for your games, especially like Nova is a great example of something that you can just have a mission that is
Mm,
the speed mission, and then you benchmark everyone against like that,
right.
and you can create a gun like a raid or something, and that just becomes like, yeah, we did that in half an hour.
Well, yeah, I mean now I feel like with Light, since it's a Destiny clone, absolutely do like make a raid and then like give just like in Destiny, like the team that can finish it first, they're the world's first, they get like a special thing. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, let's just quickly go to page 64, the tools first page, and check out the rights repair.
Page 64. Tools. Yes, got it.
So this right to repair section says that like this is your license to do absolutely anything that you want with any part of Torque. So like in car world, you have the right to change, modify, get parts for, and resell your car. Like with Torque, the second you open this book, it's yours to play with to do
Mm.
whatever you want. So if you want to take just that speedrunning shit and make it your own, yeah, you have to do it now. Simply. But yeah, this is just saying that if anything sparks your interest about this game, or if you want to make a game close to Torque or far away, but using some piece of it, like go for it.
Hell yeah. Absolutely love that. Well, this is a great looking book. It's a great looking book.
Hey, hey, thanks.
Hey. All right, now I'm going to try and do the desperate thing of putting us back on the screen and see how that goes. I think I did that pretty smoothly. We're already back.
Nice. It's us.
It is us. Um, so, uh, this is, like you said, it's going to print soon, right? You're sending it to print in like February?
It's at the
Oh,
printer,
it's at the
and it's
printer.
just about getting the final version to
Yeah.
them.
Very, very cool. I can't wait to see it. Um, one thing that pops to my mind because like I have been gushing, the graphic design, the layout is gorgeous throughout the whole thing. Is that like is the style of it something that emerged with time as you realized the book needed like room to breathe and you like what you envisioned in your head that the game was going to look like changed with time, or is this at least is this kind of like the vibe you were going for from the beginning and you just got to do more of it?
That's a great question. So when concepting this game and making the cover, I was going off of a 1959 VW Bug manual,
Mm,
which gave me inspiration for the cover design and the page design in general. And I knew that I wanted to include these large pieces and to have a book that breathed. And so, as the manuscript approached completion, I just knew that I would need more pieces and more space, and I knew that every table I wanted to be its own graphical element. As it grew, so did just my freedom with what to do.
mm,
And it definitely this game could be understood and playable in 20 pages, but just as I like to make games that are evergreen and don't require um, don't ask undue pressure on the players to
mm,
generate content or to come back and ask me what to do here.
mm,
And a game that I can selfishly just sell forever at this point. Black Masses like that,
mm.
Campfires like that, just games that are just, I have said everything that I want to say about it.
Right.
With this. And so having the graphical design to be a piece of that is absolutely it. And thank God, because there's so much graphic design.
There's a lot of graphic design going on here. But it's all gorgeous. I mean, I'm sure folks who got to see this, or who will watch this in the future, if they had not seen Torque before, are gonna just minds melting with how good this looks, how awesome this looks. I can't wait to get my hands on. I can't wait to play it. I am now,
Yeah.
because I was generally like I knew like the sense of what the game was about, but I didn't know much about the details of it at all. And now I cannot wait to play this thing.
Oh,
Uh,
that's so nice. Thank you so much.
well, also just like in general, from at least from my reading of it, my the vibes I'm getting from like especially looking at some of those scenic route like iconics that you had mentioned before, um, it doesn't feel like, and maybe I'm like way off on this, but it doesn't feel like the kind of thing where a campaign of Torque is like 20 sessions long. I mean, it certainly could be, but like to me, I feel like I could do like a really satisfying campaign of Torque where we play out like one or two iconic sunsetting in a nice amount of time that like for me, I like those like I don't know, 5 sessions and we're done sort of thing. So I feel like we could nail
Yeah.
those like things that you had mentioned at communities. You do one each time and then you're sunsetting on that fifth episode and feeling like, all right, that was a good time.
Yeah, I like having the unit of play for games to be as close to like 90 minutes as I can get.
Yeah.
So ideally, when you're on the road and then on the rest stop, each of those is around 45 minutes, more or less, depending on the amount of players and your proclivities. So that you can get in and get game as fast as possible
Mm-hmm.
and stop. Like a whole part of this game is stopping.
Yeah.
In the rules, when you're done with the road and stop the first time, you have a conversation about taking a break or stopping, getting up, doing
Right.
something else, so that there's not this exactly as you say, because you can see the totality of your character on your sheet. You know, what if your D&D character sheet said that you were done at 60 hit points, and that's just an
Right.
element of your character that you are finished. So it both makes you reckon your story and your character in a larger narrative that ends or that continues on after. And it also just provides this like super strong hooks into role playing that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, live your life, enjoy it, do your cool stuff. Um, And you've probably gathered that this game is really easy to reskin to whatever you want,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm really excited about. I include in the book that this could do pod racing really easily.
Yeah.
Like, anything that includes a group of people going somewhere and then getting there,
Mm,
you can kind of do it.
yeah. Um, this is just for my own purposes. Is there a, do you have a, has Torque been played like on an AP or something? Because I wanna see like, because I can see the role playing, right? I can see the community stuff in my head. I want to see the grid in action. Is there
Yeah.
has that popped up somewhere that I would be able to find it?
My plan is to do regular Friday streams where I just chip away at this record.
Sick.
That would be super fun. Uh, you can see on through the road section, there's just illustrations of
Mm,
how it goes, but you can play this game representationally with just uh, note cards or whatever you want. You can also play it with matchbox cars, and terrain.
mm,
You can play in a physical space or on a digital space. So
sick.
yeah,
I can't wait. I cannot wait to get this game. I can't wait to get this game and sit down with my friend Mike, who does graphic design and art for a few of my projects, because he just loves and appreciates good graphic design. And I can't wait to just sit there and flip through it with him and be like, look at this spread. Now look at this
look at
spread.
what this faker did. Yeah.
My- We're all fakers. We're all
Yeah,
fakers and
absolutely.
phonies. Uh,
As role playing game designers and publishers, we do everything,
right. You must. You
every
simply
single
must.
thing.
Um, well, this looks great. I can't wait. Folks who didn't get Torque can still like they if they didn't get a part of the Kickstarter, they can still get it, right? They still
Yeah,
can get access to
absolutely.
this.
Yeah, you can get the 100-page perfect bound book along with playmat at goodlookpress.co. You can pre-order that right now. Additionally, it will be at IPR Exalted Funeral, but at Good Luck Press is the place you can get the playmat too. Uh, I will be having an introductory adventure for free on itch. That is willjobst.itch.io, where you can get everything as well. And that is the episode one of a saga where you are going down the entire Odessa Road. Episode one for free is called Half Hardcore, where you get introduced to the mechanics of the game, road section by road section, and role playing section by role playing section. And you're ready to blast off.
Hell yeah, I'm ready to blast off. Uh, I'm all hopped up on coffee, ready to blast off. This is gonna be great.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
Sweet. Well, was there anything else that you wanted to chat about or anything like that?
Up to you. I'm on your schedule.
I mostly just wanted to hear. I mean, I'm here to just chat, but I was so excited just to get the inside scoop on Torque. So,
Absolutely. I mean, what to talk about? Future plans maybe, but things are in the design phases. So
mm,
next up for Adam Bass and I is getting the Game of the Year edition of This Discord Has Ghosts in It out there,
hell yeah,
including a CD, and then some other projects that will happen in 2022 is a fashion game called Big Grave, where the more stylish you are, the more powerful you are. Um, Kind of a fashion fantasy thing. And hopefully later this year, a solo or group play sci-fi, just a dreadful sci-fi game, just
love it.
really depressing, horrible. And that will be called The Technician. And so that will be a cool one.
Sick. All right, it's gonna be a good year for Will Jobst, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, and floating chair will have it. Obviously,
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
floating chair's gonna have it. Floating chair's gonna have the playmat one. But
Ooh,
yeah, so I hope to have a Torque Jam just running indefinitely to get more episodes out there. This is a game that is just dying for additional content and weird stuff and people to take it and be weird.
I
I
really want to make
designed
an
it.
iconic character so badly.
Yeah,
I wanna have so much fun with that.
I think you would kill it. I think you would absolutely shred the with the design tools and stuff like that, and just taking it to whatever your place is.
I
I
mean,
like to.
I haven't flipped through it in full, so I don't know if there are birds or crows in there yet. But if there aren't, I got to put some birds in your game, some
No
crows
birds
in there.
yet. I kind of left a blue sea area for you. Yeah, I like to make games that exercise a lot of like different design chops at
Mm,
once and have something to say experimentally about role playing games and whatever. And so hopefully I can see more games like this that include kind of a book experience that's not just a game you can hang out with
yeah,
while reading and not just
right,
how am I going to play this.
right. Hell yeah. Well, folks, I put the links to these fantastic things in chat, so do make sure that you check them out. Will, are there any other places that folks can find you or should find you? I put your card there. I put
Great.
the Torque pre-order there. Where else can people find you if you want to be found on the internet?
Yeah, find me. I'm on Twitter at Will underscore JOBST. That's Will Jobst. Like I said, I'm on itch at willjobst.itch.io. I'm on the Brain Trust podcast with Adam Vass, where bi-weekly we talk about simply the most important things about games. Um, Adam said last week before we recorded, I will pay you money if we didn't talk about Kickstarter. And so guess what we didn't. Um, yeah. But goodluckpress.co, you can get my games, you can get Seb Pines' games. All the hottest shit in the world is located there. Yeah, and Spencer, thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
Of course. Thank you for being
And
here.
email me back the PDF and delete the file.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
You have to archive, delete it. I need an air gapped computer. No, it's yours. Keep it. This has been a really good beta read in the layout.
This has been an absolute blast. Will, thank you for being here. It's always great to just catch up with friends, especially when they have something really cool to show and
Yeah.
share. So I feel lucky to be able to have seen Torque now. And hopefully you all got really excited about it because I certainly did. Um, that means next week for Coffee Break, we will be back next week. I have Nevin Holmes who will be here. My other
Yeah.
good friend, Nevin, who's got an upcoming project for Justicar, also has released a bunch of other really cool things recently. So Nevin and I are going to hang out and chat. And then I've got half of February, most of February planned. I'll get to that when I get to that. Yes, crows and convertibles, crows and cars. Look forward in the future. Look for my first hack, my first supplement for Torque is going to be something crow related. Can't wait to do it.
Airships versus crows. I mean,
It's
that's just right there.
it simply must be done. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever it is you are, and we will talk to you later. Bye everybody.